So yesterday we spoke about what is service connection, and we have created one service connection for our pipelines. So basically we have created a service connection for our project. Now we can go and deploy a ASP.NET application, which the one which we have built, to Azure cloud. Let's go and do that. Okay, so this is our project. Hopefully my voice is audible to you guys. It's audible,
Yep.
correct? Yeah, perfect. Okay, this is the build pipeline which we have created, and so we have a zip file created, a .NET application created. Now that .NET application needs to be deployed. Okay, in order to deploy, I need to have a resource created on cloud. So for now, we'll deploy things on Azure App Services. Now, what exactly is Azure App Services? Let's go and see that. Okay, so this is App Services, guys. Services is nothing but it's a platform as a service provided by Azure, wherein you got all the prerequisite pre-installed. The only thing you need to do is get your code and deploy it on top of it. Now just imagine if you want to deploy a .NET application or any Java application on a bare metal VM, what all things you need to do. Like if it's a Java, then you need to install Java first. You need to go and install Maven on top of it. Okay, then you need to install a web server, whichever web server you're using, Nginx, Apache, Tomcat, whichever web server you're using, you will have to go and install that, configure that web server based on your requirement. Once all this setup is done, then you can go and deploy your Java application. Same goes with .NET. You need to have a .NET SDK installed. You need to have IIS setup done. You need to have the right version of .NET, ASP.NET and all. Visual Studio Build you need to install. So all this you need to install if you want to have a ASP.NET application installed on a VM. Now with app service, what flexibility you get, you don't need to install anything as such. All this prerequisite installation will be done by Azure themselves. You just need to create that app. So app services basically it will create a VM only, guys. In the backend, it will create a VM, but you'll not have access to that VM. You'll have only minimum access just to check logs and things like that. Check the path and everything. Okay, so this is nothing but it's a VM, but it will have all the prerequisite installed. You just create the app service. App service will basically will create a Azure web app. That's a web server which will be created. Once the web server is created, you can deploy your application, whether it's a zip file, it's a war file or jar file, whatever it is, you can deploy it on top of it. Okay, and your application will be up and running within a minute with no time. That is the benefit of using app service. Most of the heavy lifting part, maintenance of your VM. Like if you have a VM, suppose you need to maintain the VM, you need to patch the VM, you need to make sure the VM is patched continuously, and you need to maintain the complete VM by yourself. Correct? Over here, everything, maintenance and everything will be done by Microsoft. Microsoft will do all this for you. This will be completely managed and maintained by Microsoft. That's why I said it would be a platform as a service which will be given by Microsoft. Plus auto scaling, load balancing. There are features which you can enable which will make sure that the auto scaling and load balancing is also happening automatically over here. So that's the beauty of app services. wherein things are already managed. The only thing you have to do, launch your app service. A web app will be launched and you can deploy your application on top. Similar service you can find in AWS. That's EKS. No, sorry, not EKS. It's Elastic Beanstalk. So sorry. On AWS, you have a similar service named as Elastic Beanstalk. So if you go to AWS side, you will have a similar service. The one which we have the one which we call app service over here, that is known as Elastic Beanstalk over there. Okay, it's the same thing. It's the same concept altogether. Okay, so today we'll focus on deploying our application. So where do I deploy? I'll go and deploy it on app service. As of now, I'm creating this app service manually right now, guys. This is the first time I'll be creating it manually. Later we'll have ARM templates or Terraform templates created, using which we'll be creating this app service. So as of now, because I have not taught you ARM, how do we write ARM templates and things like that. So this is something, let's do it manually. Later we'll learn how do we write ARM templates. Post that, we can integrate the ARM template with the pipelines and we can see how app services created using a template file. Okay, resource group created. What is the name of your instance? Let's name it as Valaxy. Okay, Valaxy-dev. This name should be unique, guys. What kind of publish method? So you got a code, correct? You have a zip file. In my build, if you go and look, we got a zip file created. So this is a part of code what we have right now. Okay, we got a zip file. Now, what is a running stack? This is something ASP.NET 3.5. Correct? We got something ASP.NET 3.1. So 3.5 is good. We can use it. It app service supports multiple other platform also. If you see, you got Go, Java, Node.js, PHP, Python, Ruby. All these code framework are supported. So when I say ASP.NET 3.5, all the required prerequisite will be installed on whatever VM they create. So in the backend, they create a VM. So whatever VM they create, this will have ASP.NET 3.5 also. Okay, this is the main thing over here, the plan. You can select the tier. So based on this plan, whatever plan you select, the pricing will happen based on that. So as if in my pricing, it is standard S1 what got selected. I got total 100 ECU. This is nothing but its compute and 1.75 GB of memory. Now let me go and change the plan. There are different set of plans which you can select, guys. Now S1 is not, it doesn't fall in free tier. So you have to pay. If you select S1, you have to pay for it. So we'll change and we'll select some plan which falls in free tier. So there is a plan called F1 which you can select. F1 falls in free tier. Now this is the plan which you can select. 60 minutes of per day usage, that is ACU. 1 GB of memory, 1 GB of storage, and this is falls under free tier. So this is the one what we will select. So there are many restrictions on this free tier. You will not get SSL support. You will not get auto scaling option feature and things like that. So this is just for practice. You cannot use for production. In production, definitely you have to go S1 or beyond. There is a category called P1 which is more for production. Okay, so always look into the pricing tier. This is just a testing what we are doing. So definitely we'll stick with free tier. We don't need to pay unnecessary just for learning. Okay, I'll simply go and review and create. So this is my app service which is getting created right now. Once this app service is created, we can go and deploy our application on top of it. Okay, let's wait while this app service is coming up. Anyone, any questions, any doubt? No questions, guys. Did anyone try creating service connection?
Yeah, I managed to follow along yesterday.
Perfect, Victoria. So any issues while creating, or you were able to do it?
I was able to do it.
Perfect. Anyone else? This is taking good amount of time. Okay, while this is validating still, let's go back to your Azure DevOps and let's see how do we deploy this application on Azure Web App, which is getting created as if now. I know why it got stuck on validation. Let's do a review create again. Okay, it's getting created right now. So in order to deploy, we can use a release pipeline. I'm not doing the deployment manual over here. We'll be using release pipeline to do the same. So we'll go and create our first release pipeline. Now, how exactly this release pipeline will be created? Under pipeline section, go to releases. There is an option called new pipeline. Go to new pipeline. Let's select this empty. So these are some templates. So we are using classic. As if now we are using classic method even to deploy our application, but later we'll have everything written in YAML. So even the release what we are doing right now, it will be in classic. So I'll select this template as empty for now. No template selection. I'll name this as dev. Okay, so we have selected a dev. I'll talk about what exactly this pre-deployment, post-deployment condition is later. For now, at the extreme left, if you see, it is asking for an artifact. So if I click over here, there are multiple ways to include your artifact. If you have a build pipeline, you can select this. If you don't have a build pipeline, if you want to point directly to your repository, then you can select over here. Same goes with GitHub and if you have TFS and things like that. Okay. So in my case, we got build pipeline, correct? We have created a build pipeline. So we'll go and select our build pipeline over here. Okay, done. Now just name this pipeline as Azure Web App Release. Okay, so I got the build selected. Now why exactly I'm selecting this, I'll talk about that in a minute. Now I go inside. There's no job right now. There's no task running in right now. So what are the tasks? How do I add task? Is it created? Okay, my web app is created. Let's quickly go and have a look how exactly the web app looks. Okay, so this is your web app, guys. Valaxy Dev. This is the default domain if you want to access your web app. The operating system on the web app is Windows because this is a ASP.NET application. App service plan. This is the app service plan which we have created. Now, if you go and look into this, try to access this web app. Let's see what you get. So you get a default page. Basically, your web app is running and waiting for your content. So basically, you have a default page. Now you can come and deploy an application on top of it. How do I deploy an application? Let's go back and see. So in order to add a task, just click over here, add a task. So you can look for app service, something like this. Now there is an option called app service deploy. So if you see this, deploy your Azure app service, a web, mobile or API using Docker, Java, .NET Core. So this is the one we want. We got .NET Core, correct? Now if you want to know more about this, whether this is the right right task or not, you can click on learn more and you can go to the page. And you can see if we are selecting the right task or not. So you can know more about this. You can understand like what exactly this task is, how well you can use task, what are the things you can use in the task, what are the prerequisite for this task. All this information is given right over here. So this is a Microsoft provided task, guys. So we can definitely go and use this. So this is the one I just added. Now it is asking for a subscription. So this is the one service connection which we have created yesterday. So we do have the subscription. So I'll go and select the subscription what we have created yesterday. Okay. App service type. So web app on Windows. So we are deploying things on Windows because as we all know, this is a Windows operating system. Okay. App service name. So in this drop down, you should get the name Valaxy Dev, the one which you have created over here. Why this is reflecting? All thanks to your service connection. This is reflecting over here. All other thing. Now, do you see the zip file? So this is a zip file. So this zip file from where exactly we're getting? The zip file we're getting from the build pipeline, the build which we have created. Now system default working directory will basically go to the drop location and get you this zip file. Now if I go browse this package, so this is a relative path. This is how you should keep things. This is how you should keep things. But if you click on the link artifact, it will take you to your drop location. Basically, this is your drop location. And if you want to have the zip file selected like an absolute path, then even that is possible. Okay. So this is an absolute path which got selected. Okay. This is one way of giving. So this is not recommended, guys. In pipeline, you should not hard code such values. But for now, let's hard code everything. Later, I'll show you how do we make use of variables and how do we make sure things are not hard coded inside the pipeline. Okay. How it is reflected automatically. You're talking about this path. This was not reflected. Whenever you go and add this task, by default, it takes zip file. So it was by default, they have something like this added over here. Irrespective of what build you're adding, by default, you'll see something like this added. So it is looking for project name. Okay, this is from this artifact what we have added. Which project name, Prashant, you're talking about?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a
Valaxy Dev.
Valaxy Dev.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, you're talking about the app service name. That means this one. Is this one?
It's correct.
This is because of service connection which we created in yesterday's session.
Okay, okay.
So service, because of the service connection, if you go back at the top, do you see this is a service connection which we created in the yesterday's session. Now the bridge is already created. So whatever resources you will have on your Azure cloud, those resources can be visible over here. So because of the service connection, we are able to have all the resources of cloud on our Azure DevOps also. So when you go and create a service connection, you can see all these information automatically.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. And this system default working directory, guys, this is nothing but it's a directory where all the artifacts are downloaded. Now, if you want to know what exactly it is, you should go and look for the predefined variables. Inside the predefined variables, just look for what exactly is system default working directory. Let's do a control F and look for. So local path on the agent where your source code files are downloaded. Okay. So from this, you will put the files into your drop location. And I'm getting this file from the drop location. Like this is system default working directory. And if I just give **-star.zip, it will go and look for the zip file. Or else if I want to give a absolute path, then I can go to the drop location and I can select the zip file also. Both the way works, but the previous one you should use it. This is like hard coding. If you do a hard code in your pipeline, you cannot reuse your pipeline task. So don't worry about the reusability and everything for now. That is something we'll understand when we'll understand pipeline variables in great details. Okay. For now, let's stick with this. So I have my pipeline ready. I'll just save this and I'll just go and create my first release. I just got one task and I got my zip file and I'll just create my one first release manually. So this is something creating manually right now. So I just created the release. If I go back to releases, you will find release one getting created. See, this release one got created. I'll go and deploy this manually right now. And I'll see I can go and deploy this manually. Okay. So there's a manual deployment which we're doing. Now, once you click on logs, it will take you to the log screen wherein you can see what exactly happening right now. Okay, let's wait while the deployment is happening. Meanwhile, just give me 1 minute, guys. Let me switch my network. I think it is all slow because of network issue. Just give me one quick minute. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so if you see the task is running right now, again initializing job. So in the initialization, again the agent pool gets assigned because all this task, where exactly will you run? You need an agent pool, same like build. Okay, so if you see there's a Windows 2019 server was assigned and then it downloaded the artifact basically. So basically it downloaded the zip file from the build section, and once it is done, it has started deploying the things. If you see, it was deploying my zip file on the end server. See this. Successfully updated app service configuration details, app service application URL, successfully updated deployment history. All these are done automatically. Once this is done, it is cleaning up everything. Okay. Now, how do I access my application? Where is that? So I can go to the domain name. I can open a new browser and I can simply look for my application. So I should see my application deployed if everything well. Okay, perfect. Welcome to DevSecOps course testing CI. So my application was successfully deployed on Azure web app using CI/CD pipeline. Though we have created this web app manually, but using the CI/CD pipeline, we were able to deploy this application on Azure web app. Now this is all done manual, guys. We ran the build manually. We ran the release manually. We created this web app manually. This is all we need to automate. So end-to-end automation. So for end-to-end automation, we'll require multiple other things, such as we need to have an infra as a code template so that it creates our Azure web app. Then once the infra is created, we need to deploy our application. Okay, that is something we'll do later. For now, let me show you how do you enable continuous deployment triggers. Okay, let me go and edit the pipeline. Now there are two edits. Just remember this two edits, guys, because many newbies, they do such mistakes. Edit release means this release one will get edited. Only this release one. Like if I do edit release, this release one, do you see at the top the release one gets edited? Okay. Now when I do edit pipeline, the actual pipeline of yours gets edited. Now if you want to make changes to the current release, then do a edit release. And if you want to make changes to your existing pipeline, then do edit pipeline. Now sometime what happens, there is a release got failed because of some XYZ reason, and I asked the developers go and disable the task and just run few tasks. Don't run all the tasks. So what they do, they edit the pipeline, they come over here and they disable everything, then they try to run the release one again, and they say it's not happening, it's not working. This is because they came and edited this actual pipeline, not their own release. That is what they do. So keep this in mind. Make sure that you're editing the right content. If you want to edit your pipeline, edit the pipeline. If you want to edit the release, edit the release. Okay, remember that there are two edits in Azure classic releases. Okay, now I'm at the actual pipeline. You can see the pipeline name. This is what I'm editing. Now there are triggers over here. Now if you see this trigger, this is nothing but this is a continuous deployment trigger. Now what exactly is this? This continuous deployment trigger, if I go and enable this trigger, what will happen whenever there is a build? Okay, just remember the diagram, the PPT diagram. Whenever there is a successful build, automatically a new release will be created. Again, repeating myself, with this box checked, whenever there is a build, automatically your release will be created. Build, successful build, guys. If the build has failed, your release will not be created. If it's a successful build, then the release will be created. You got more conditions to it. You want to add branch filter option over here. If you want to have a pull request trigger over here, then you can add those also. So this is in a real manner will help you do a continuous deployment. Okay, done. Now this section, this is your pre-deployment section and this is your post-deployment section. Remember, continuous delivery option wherein we got approvals in between. Okay, so all thanks to this conditions, you can put your pre-deployment and post-deployment conditions over here. Now let's go and look onto it. Now pre-deployment condition, do you want to trigger a release once a release is created? So imagine once the build is successful, a release is created. Do you want to start the deployment then and there? Then you have to select this option. Yes, I want to start the deployment. So with this option, your continuous deployment will be achieved. There's no manual intervention anywhere now. Once the build is completed, once the release is created, the deployment will happen automatically. Okay, all thanks to this trigger. You got multiple more features. Do you want to filter out artifact? You can add filters. Okay, you can add only when the build has this artifact, then only the release should run. If you want to have such conditions added, you can go and add filters over here. Okay, select filter condition to trigger. If there are multiple, this is applicable if you have multiple build. Okay, in my case, we just have one single build, so this option is not required. Schedule. So even though if the release is created, even though the trigger has happened, you want to run this pipeline at a particular time. Just imagine you want to release it after your working hours. Okay, then in that case, you can put in your numbers over here that I want to run this pipeline after 6:30 p.m. EST. Once the working hours are done, then only the changes needs to be deployed. In such cases, you need to have, you can come and put in your schedule. You can put in your schedule over here that at this point of time, the pipeline should run. Okay. You can also have pull request deployment. So based on your pull request, we haven't set the trigger as pull request, so it's not showing over here. But yeah, based on your pull request, you can also do a deployment based on your pull request. Approvals. This is the place where you will add approvals, guys. If you want someone to come and approve your pipeline, then this is a place you can go and add the approvers. Okay, for me, if I want to add an approver, I can just simply add a name and this person will be approving your changes. We got approver policies also. The users requesting a release or deployment should not approve, skip approval, and all these policies and things. If you want to set up, you can do it. Okay. Gates. Remember gates I spoke about. This is basically used for evaluating before any sort of deployment. So if you in between your deployment, if you want to run some sort of automation testing, for example, that automated testing will go in for 60 minutes. And if you want to have a break in between, this is more used during continuous deployment process where things are happening all automatically. And if you want to break between two environments, then you can definitely use the setting of gates. So basically gates, what it will do, it will add timings to you. You can add timing is also like suppose you want to wait for 1 hour. So your pipeline will wait for 1 hour before it will go and execute your deployment. And while it is waiting, no one can deploy things, guys. No one manually also can override this. Even being a owner, I cannot do it. I have to wait for this evaluation time to get completed. So Gate, this feature will add evaluation time before and after your deployment, actual deployment. Okay. Again, reiterating, Gate is nothing but it will add evaluation time in between your deployments. Okay, and I'm not putting the gates for now. Let me remove this gate. Then we got deployment queue settings. So this is something related to parallel execution. If you have multiple agent pool, then you can do parallel execution. As of now, there's no, we haven't spoke about agent pools, so let's ignore it for now. Okay. This is pre-deployment. Similarly, you'll have post-deployment. In post-deployment, if you want to have a post-deployment approvals, you can add approvals over here. Similarly, in post-deployment, you will have a gates option. Okay, so even in the post-deployment, if you want to have something, you can have a post-deployment conditions over here. Okay, auto redeploy trigger in case of failure. In case of any event of failure, if you want to rerun this pipeline, you can have this option enabled. Okay, guys. So this is what things are all about. There are pre-deployment and post-deployment things which you can add in Azure release pipeline. Now let me just remove all this for now. So I just have auto trigger right now. Let me see. I don't have gates and all. Okay. So this is, we got your continuous deployment trigger enabled. We got your pre-deployment trigger enabled. How do we test if everything is running at once? I can go and make changes to my application. Just imagine I'm a developer. I have cloned this repository on my local. I do have it on my local also, correct? Valaxy web app. Yeah, this is the one. Let me open git bash. I can do it using Visual Studio also, because I don't want to open Visual Studio now because it will take time. So hence I'll just use this git bash. Let me do a quick pull and see if there's any incremental change. Yeah, there was change. I got this change. Now let me go and edit the pages directly. Let's open in ASP.NET. Index page in, no, not this. Okay, so this is welcome to DevSecOps course. Now, yeah, this is something else. There's already a change, guys. If you see the deployment which we did previously, this was something to welcome to DevSecOps course testing CI. So this was the build what we had previously. Now this is already a new build. If I run this, this is already a new build. But let me make a more exclamation. Now let me quickly go and do a commit. Updated index file. Hopefully everyone knows this command which I'm running. -a -m. Can anyone tell me what exactly this command is doing right now? -a and -m both together.
Is that adding it to the staging and committing the message at the same time?
Perfect. So it's adding and adding the message at the same time. Okay, now I'll do a quick push. Now what my expectation is, the build should run automatically. Once the build is successful, your release pipeline should get created automatically, and whatever the releases are, whatever changes we did, that should get deployed over here automatically. That is what my expectation is. Let's see if the build has started. Perfect. So the first stage looks good. Your build pipeline has started. Let's wait while the build is running. Once the
On the
build is,
sorry.
sorry, tell me.
Sorry. When you on the artifact, which branch did you select? Was it developer or was it the leads?
This was develop branch, I believe. Yeah, develop. By
Okay.
default, it's a develop branch. So that is my default branch. So basically, whenever you clone for the very first time also, and in my release and main, I don't think I have files. This is
Okay.
just created. Later, when we'll have multi-branch created, like multiple pipelines created for lower and upper environment, at that time, I'll create a pull request at that point of time. For now, it is just created, just for namesake. Okay. Later in the course, when we'll have multi branches, multi pipelines, multi-stage pipelines, then at that time we'll use this release branch. Okay, the build is created. Now, if you go and look into the releases, you will have see a release pipeline also created. And if you see, the release pipeline is running. Oh, we got quality gates enabled. Oh, this is, do you see, we got quality gates. Evaluation start in 60 minutes. So it will wait for 60 minutes for your deployment. I don't want to wait. I'm canceling this right now. And I will create a new release manually right now. But this is the release was created. I'll go to edit pipeline and let me remove the quality gates thing. See this gates. Let me remove this part. Let me save this. Now, just because there was a quality gate, I cannot go and run this pipeline. Or else I can do one thing. I cannot even remove the gate now, right now, guys. Even though I am the owner to this existing release, I cannot remove the gate. I have no option, but I have to go and create release number 3. So I'll go and abandon this pipeline. Always in such cases, always abandon your pipeline so that no one can use this. So this pipeline was marked as abandoned right now. Now I can go manually, I can create, because we already saw how things were getting created automatically. Now when you go to your pipeline, if you go to this pipeline, this release, you can see at the top there is a release tab got created and release 2 was created. This is all thanks to your continuous deployment trigger. That continuous deployment trigger has created this release 2 basically. But all thanks to quality gate, now I have to go and create this thing manually again. Release 3 got created. Now thus release 3 will be deployed automatically. I don't have to click on deploy because I do have the after release trigger also set on my environment. So this is my dev environment, and the after release trigger will make sure, even though you're creating the release manually, the deployment will happen automatically. Okay, understood? Anyone, any questions over here? No questions? Okay, let's wait while the deployment is happening. On Monday, there is a small topic again left. That's agent pool. That is something we'll understand how exactly this agent pool works. What is a self-hosted agent and Microsoft hosted agent, and we'll create our own agent pool on Monday. And post that, Tuesday onwards, we'll start with ARM templates. Now this project is not over. This ASP.NET project is not over. Once you learn ARM template, we'll come back, we'll redeploy this application, and this time we'll not create the web app manually. We'll have a template to create the web app for us. Once we learn that, we'll do this entire ASP.NET project again using YAML script. So the complete week again will continue with this CI/CD part. CI/CD is very big, guys, and this is the core of your DevOps. So again, a couple of weeks, not just 1 or 2 days, couple of weeks will focus on CI/CD. Okay, make sure practice this CI/CD, because this is the flow which I'm teaching right now. This is the flow you need to talk about in an interview. What exactly? Because if you want to show 3-4 years of experience, this flow needs to be very much well thorough. The classic flow, the YAML flow, the template flow, all this flow, this is something you need to talk about in real world scenario when you start giving interviews, or if you start working as a DevOps engineer. Okay, so my deployment was successful. Let's verify. Refresh this. Welcome to DevSecOps course. Are we good? We have the deployment, successfully deployment done on Azure web app. Okay, now this application I've already shared. I think this might be uploaded on the portal. Make sure during this weekend, practice this all, because going forward, next week forward, this is very straightforward and very simple deployment which I've showed you guys. Going forward, things will not be this simple. And the next project, the Java project, Spring Boot project, which we will do, that will be more complicated, because we'll have multiple more things added to it. We'll have unit test cases, we'll have code coverage, we'll have static code analysis, SonarQube integration, and many things added to the build. This is very straightforward and simple build which I'm talking about. Make sure to practice this thoroughly, And if there's any question, any concern, you guys can let me know. Okay, I think I can stop over here today because there are topics which I need a complete hour to cover. So for now, I'll stop over here. If anyone has any questions, please do let me know, and we'll continue with the CI/CD on Monday. Yeah, questions?
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if we created a app service,
Mm-hmm.
will it be charging us while we're if we leave it there today? Or do we have to destroy it?
No, you should not leave it. Like you should. This is only free for 60 minutes. This F1 category which I showed you, this is
Mm-hmm.
only free for 50 minutes, 60 minutes. Post that, you'll start getting charged. So yeah,
Okay.
that's not recommended at all. You should not keep it. As soon as you're done, go to your resource group, delete your resource group itself. What will
Yeah.
happen? It will delete everything inside.
Okay,
Okay.
great. Thank you.
Thank you for reminding me also. I'm deleting. Yeah. So you should not keep it, guys. Once you're done with your task, once you're done with your practice, make sure to delete because this falls under free tier, but you have for a day, it's only 60 minutes. Post that, you will get charged. Okay. Anyone else? We still have time, guys. 5-10 minutes time left. No questions? Okay. If there's no question, we'll wind up the call. Monday, that is India time Monday, guys. And basically for you guys, for in US, it will be Sunday night. We'll start with agent pool. Post that, we'll start with ARM template. Then we'll come back to your CI/CD part again. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you very much. And all these steps are given in my assignments. So the assignment is also uploaded on the portal. Go through the assignments and try to complete the assignment, the classic assignment by during this weekend. Okay. Thank you very much. Bye bye.